All right, today I'm going to be talking about my favorite preschool resources for 3-year-olds. I'm going to share what I'm currently using with my 3-year-old and share my plans for the future for this next year of P3 preschool with him. Guys, I am that mom that just delights in preschool. I don't see it necessarily as a time where we're like rushing and pushing our children, pushing ahead to rush on and be ready for kindergarten, but just as a time to enjoy. I don't use curriculum. I don't have a preschool routine because I'm looking toward the future and what I want them to be able to do later necessarily, so much as I know what a precious time this is, how fast it goes, and I want to make the most of it. I want to be there. I want to use this time intentionally. I have a video on this channel, which I'll link below, sharing what my top priorities are for teaching during the preschool years. You can watch that whole video for all my reasoning, but I'll recap them really quickly right here. 1, big ideas. All the big ideas of who they are, what's their place in the world, what is this world, why is it so interesting, how do things work around them? Big ideas about faith and about them, about the way the world works. 2nd, skills. Fine motor skills, gross motor skills, life skills. They just suck in skills. They want to do everything with you. So take them along and let them do all these things that require skill with you. Let them vacuum, let them sweep, let them invite them into being a part of their life, your life at this season when they want to be such a big helper. And finally, verbal skills. This is a time when the mind is just growing. It is learning so many words. As a bilingual family, we have really prioritized working on verbal skills during the early years, just exposing our children to as much rich language as we can in both Spanish and in English. You will see some of that in the resources I show, but all of these resources are available in English. Some of them are available in Spanish. So let's get started. I'll begin with what I've done so far. My son has a late fall birthday. So I started having a preschool routine with him in late fall, right around when he turned 3 years old. But the great thing about having a late fall birthday is he actually gets to be in preschool for a long time. He doesn't have to start kindergarten until the year that he's turning 6 that fall. So we've got so much fun ahead of us. Not to say that kindergarten isn't fun, but preschool really is fun, and I appreciate that he gets to have just a long, fun season of doing preschool with mama. So what have we done so far? We have done Sonlight T, the Sonlight T level, which you can see pretty much all right here. This is Mother Goose rhymes. This is short picture book stories. It's very, very gentle, very light, just all the classic books that you want to read to your kids when they're babies is basically what these books are. So we have done that together during the mornings. For schoolwork that's a little bit more directed at him, I have been using purely preschool units, which I created these units, and they really are created for the youngest preschooler. The preschooler who isn't probably ready for most preschool curriculums yet. And these are just really focused on life skills, fine motor skills, gross motor skills, and of course reading stories, listening to songs with mama, that kind of fun thing. So there's a bunch of different themed units. I think we have 10 themed units now available in English or in Spanish. This is Vehicles at Work, which I had to do because my kids are obsessed with tractors and trucks and emergency vehicles, all of that fun stuff. You can check these out on my website. Each unit is $4.99 and includes roughly a month's worth of lessons. So I'll just show you a little bit. This is the lesson we're currently working on with him. So this is, our current lesson is about trucks. So we're reading The Little Blue Truck, El Camioncito Azul. And this is one of my very favorite activities and has been quite a favorite with our customers. We have a little truck printable, and then we have little letter cards that we can load up our dump truck with. And so of course you could use this in multiple different ways, and we have suggestions of just simply if your child isn't quite ready yet, all you gotta do is load them, and the mom is saying the letter name, letter sound, saying words that start with the sound, just exposing and just playing with the letters. If your child's older and getting ready, you can have them repeat sounds after you and say, these are different letters. And we can spell words with these, and we use these to write stories, and you just talking about letters but having fun. And you can load up the dump truck, you can carry them to somewhere else. So that's one of our activities from that unit. We've also been having a lot of fun with these little cards. So we've got a dump truck, we've got a car carrier, semi-truck, tow truck, ice cream truck, tank truck. So what my son loves to do with these is I'll show him a truck and I'll have him say the name of that truck, and then he'll run to his collection and get one, because we have a very enviable collection of small toy cars and trucks. So he has one of almost all of these and multiple of several of these types of trucks. So he's getting to practice learning the truck names. But one of the learning points from the unit is the idea that different trucks are equipped for different jobs. So then we get to talk about the different kinds of jobs that trucks do, and we can talk about that in Spanish. So that's one of the major learning points, is different trucks and different jobs. We also learn a little bit about stoplights in this unit. So this is one activity he hasn't done yet, but we're going to get to color a stoplight, and we get to practice using our color words. We get to paint. Of course, I mean, you could color it with a crayon, but isn't painting more fun? We get to paint our little traffic light, talk about which is stop, slow down, go. We can play red light, green light. So that's what I've been doing with him so far, is just reading Sonlight books for our morning time, but our kind of like themed, fun, life skills based homeschool so far has been purely preschool. And he has completed maybe 5 of the units, 5 of the 4-week units at this point. I'd have to check my records exactly, but we've completed a good handful of those already and had a lot of fun. I use those first and I will leave a link to where you can check those out on my website and see all the different themes. Some of my favorite themes are our nighttime unit, night, because the whole theme is basically around the skills involved in going to bed. And we've got fun themes of owls and bats, moon and stars. And then I love the food theme and the all about me theme. Those are some of my favorite units. And we still have a few more units of this to complete. I like this for the youngest preschoolers, because many preschool curriculums you'll look at are actually a little bit hard for that maybe young 3-year-old who's maybe not super verbal yet, not super skilled yet, has a very short attention span. This really is designed for that younger preschooler. So those are the resources we've started with. Now, looking forward, where are we heading as we go through his whole rich P3 3-year-old preschool year? Now, where will we go next once we've finished Sonlight T and Purely Preschool? Next, we will go on to a curriculum that I love, one that I used with my oldest son, and one that I am so excited to use again. Have you ever had that experience where you used a curriculum with one kid, and when you get a chance to use it again with another kid, you're like so excited, yay, I get to do it again. I feel like that says something about the curriculum. But it is Gentle and Classical Preschool. So I can show you some of the cards right here. Gentle and Classical Preschool is a basically all subject preschool curriculum that's scheduled for 26 units, and it's themed around the alphabet. There are multiple elements involved. I have a video dedicated specifically to Gentle and Classical Preschool, so I will link that down below, and I will also leave my affiliate link to their curriculum down below. Whenever you guys purchase through my affiliate links, I really do. Thank you so much. That definitely does help me out, help with the investment of time I put into making these videos. But to continue, we will be using Gentle and Classical Preschool for the entire second time around, which means it's a little bit easier to prep this time because I've already done it. But they work on memory statements. They have a lot of memory statements that they use for each unit. So these are written on cards that you can display on a board or on your wall, or you could not display them on a board or wall. You could get them out, you could play games with them. That is what we have mainly done with them. So they have statements about manners and hygiene. They have statements for catechism and character. So they have little songs that they make out of character statements. But of course, you're not just singing the song, you're also discussing it, talking about the character. What does it really mean to be patient? What are some opportunities you might have to be patient? What does it look like to not be patient? So I don't just say these and rush through them. These always become conversation starters, and my kids tend to like coming up with suggestions of ways to not being patient, or ideas of what it would look like to not portray this character trait. There are math memory statements. There are also nursery rhymes that you're learning, a whole rich breadth of many different subjects that you're learning. It is literature based with one book that's focused on each week. So I actually did not have many of the books the first time I did this. So the first time I went through this curriculum, we were largely doing YouTube read alouds because I had bought this right when it came out. I didn't have a chance to be in the US and shop for any books, but then when I did get to go to the US, I knew I was going to do this again. So I bought some more of the books, especially I focused on the ones that we really, really liked on YouTube so that we would be able to have more of them available in real life this time. So we're going to be getting to go through all these great books. I've been trying to keep these kind of separate from our collection so they can feel a little bit new, although we have read this book like at least 10 times already. They really love this one. I feel like this is just so relatable to a young kid. The getting up to jump off the diving board and the fear, the intensity of this story. Really good. So just kind of showing you a quick selection of some of the books we're going through. I love books. So those are some of the books that you'll read. Another element, math is included, and they use Preschool Math at Home as the spine. If you are on the fence about using this book or not, and you have a young preschooler, I highly, highly recommend this book. I love this book so much that I was pretty much sold on Kate Snow's Math with Confidence series ever since then, and I have continued to love the Math with Confidence series. So this was great, especially with starting with a young 3-year-old that does not have many math skills yet. It's easy in some sense, but it's also deep. Like there are some really deep concepts being worked in on this. It's easy, it's dealing with small numbers, but it's very deep conceptually. I have been impressed with this. Another element of Gentle and Classical is the morning binder. This is a very key part of the program. They have these binder pages, and the approach that this takes is not that you're doing a new worksheet every day. It's not giving you 10 different pages to work on learning the letter K, for example, but it's a page that you come back to day after day throughout the week. You come back to and you can build the letter in different ways. You can come back to this page and, with a 3-year-old, every day you can find the K, and every day they still have to look to find it. It seems easy to us, but actually to a kid, that repetition can be really helpful. So they have alphabet stuff, they've got colors, we're circling things with different colors. We get numbers. My boy loved these numbers pages, my oldest, when we did this with him. So I put the whole thing in a binder. You can use a menu. A lot of people do that to limit the number of pages they have out. My son really liked to go back and do other pages that we had already done, sometimes 10 pages, which I was fine with. So I liked having it in a binder the first time around, and it's already set up, so it's easy for me to keep it in a binder. Now, some of my go-to manipulatives I will be using with Gentle and Classical are look super fancy, Handwriting Without Tears wooden pieces for building letters. These, I think they are actually recommended in the curriculum, but the reason I have these is because my mom already had them from being a homeschool mom for a couple decades. But these are classics. There are newer versions, I believe, and I think there are versions made out of plastic, but this is the idea of you're building letters with wooden pieces at an age where children might not be able to write the letters yet, but they can build them, they can use a finger and trace them. These are a lot of fun. These have always been a big hit with kids. I do highly recommend having these, so we'll get to build the letter each week with these, and probably a couple times a week with these. I also have flashcards. This is how I prefer to do flashcards, and these are 20-year-old cards from Abeka, again from my mom's collection, but I actually have a free printable version of just really, really plain flashcards that have one card with the uppercase letter, one card with the lowercase letter. I think that gives you a lot of flexibility for different kinds of matching games, and it also makes sure that kids are not looking at the picture and relying on the picture when learning to identify the letters. There's definitely a room and a place for letter cards that have pictures and illustrations on them, for sure, and I like them and also use those, but these are some of my go-tos for when we do get to that point of really trying to master the alphabet. these are really helpful. And I'll try to link to the freebie on my website with just the most plain and boring flashcards in the world to practice the alphabet with. So that is the bulk of my 3-year-old preschool plans. We'll finish up purely preschool and Sonlight, and then we're going to go straight into gentle and classical. We are going to enjoy it and have a very rich time. I do also plan to add in gentle and classical nature volume 1, once again, alongside gentle and classical preschool. So we have my older son, you know, hey, when you find something that works, you just stick with it. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. I did this with my older son. It's a very similar type of program which has memory statements but involves a lot of rich literature. I also have a video on it, so I'll link to that one below. But it's very, very basic. This is the level 1 card, so it's very, very basic beginning nature science, good for a 3-year-old. Tadpoles turn into froglets, then into frogs. We're learning and working on that statement. We get to incorporate books. I'll say, like, one of the main reasons I want to do gentle and classical nature again is because I want to read all the frog and toad stories again. These are just the best. I jive with the humor and the personalities in these. We also get to read Over and Under the Pond and Up and Down in the Garden. Those are some good ones. Of course, we can read them anytime, but it's kind of fun to have that schedule and have these good reads scheduled out for you like that. I don't use all the elements of Nature Volume 1 with a 3-year-old, but the core of it is very accessible to them. And we can always then draw pictures of frogs or different really simple activities. So that is my 3-year-old preschool plan. Those are my core resources that I go back to. I don't necessarily see the need to have 20 different types of alphabet manipulatives, just a couple of really solid, really good quality ones that are favorites that I know we can play with again and again. Those tend to be my go-tos. I don't tend to have a ton of puzzles or games because I don't really like puzzles or games. Not saying they're bad, I'm just saying I don't find them enjoyable. But I'm not a total puddle glum. We'll do some puzzles and games. But having this rich curriculum of activities to work. One more thing I want to mention about gentle and classical preschool. Their teacher guides are available for free as a free download. So you can definitely download the free teacher's guide to check it out more. But do be aware that for the preschool, they have this amazing thing, which is a weekly lesson planning grid for each unit. But it's not in the teacher's guide. It is in the handicraft guide. But I found this super helpful. I love teacher grids because if there's something on the teacher grid I don't want to do, I feel no pressure. I just don't do it. But it does help. I feel like it makes homeschool a little bit more open and go, a little bit more just get started. I know what I'm doing each day. Even if it's just really simple like this, it can be kind of nice to have it scheduled out for you like that. So this is something I appreciate. You can see my little check marks maybe from last time, and I'll just be check marking it again this time. Alright, if this video was helpful, please do give it a thumbs up. I appreciate that. You can subscribe to this channel if you want to continue to follow our family's homeschool journey. I will have a kindergartner and a 3-year-old preschool next year, as well as my 2 sisters who are in upper grades of homeschool. So I get the fun of little kids schoolwork and big kids schoolwork all at the same time. Alright, I will be seeing you. Bye!